Hey everybody, it's Paul Stevens here from iGo Sales and Marketing with another SuiteCRM demo today. Today we are going to do a simple workflow. There's going to be a few components to it, and I think you'll find it useful in not only setting up this kind of a workflow, but other workflows. So let's get to it. Just move myself out of the way here. So what we're going to need in this simple workflow example, let's say, and I'm going to use a scenario here that every sales rep has, you go to a trade show and you know the general things you do after a trade show is you send the people that you meet an email with your contact info, and then you follow up with them a week later or whatever and talk to them about their interest in the trade show. So you can help automate all this. The third thing we want to do is add them to a target list. But you can help automate all this through SuiteCRM, and it's pretty straightforward. There's a couple things we're going to need. We are going to need to create an email template. We're going to need to create a target list, and then we're going to need to create the workflow. So let's just switch back here to SuiteCRM and let's go through it. So the first thing we're going to want to do is create the email template for the trade show follow-up. So you can find that in your list here, email templates. Workflow. Let's go here. Sometimes it's easier. So we're going to create an email template. And you get your email template builder here. So we're going to do something really simple here. We'll just say thanks for your interest at the trade show. And then maybe we want to put the person's name, hey, and then we'll put in here the account, the lead, and then we will select first name. Okay, so a little further background on this. If you select lead and then put in lead first name, it'll work for leads, no problem. But if you use this for a contact later, you're going to have a problem because it's a contact and not a lead. So what I like to do specifically with the person's name is there's another option here that has contact, lead, and target. So if you choose this and then contact, lead, target, first name, and then what I'm going to do is just click here and I'm going to insert it, and then of course my comma. Okay, so I've got my hey, contact, first name, thanks for interest in the trade show, blah blah blah, some information, and it will automatically, if you have your name and address and sincerely email footer already set up, it'll automatically put that in, so you don't have to put it in the email builder, and that's it. If you've never used this email builder before, it's super easy. Like I just did, drag and drop. You can edit it however you want. If you want to put a picture in here, same way, add a picture, and then it's just a question of editing the picture and putting in the right URL there, just like that, and then you put the source in. Typically you want the source to be maybe hosted on your website or something like that, because it will need an actual URL to pull the image from. But let's say that's our email. So I'm going to just name it trade show follow-up. okay. It's going to be assigned to me as administrator. And just so I remember, like, 2 years from now, what this email has to do with, and if I've forgotten, put a little description here, to be sent to leads from the ABC trade show. Okay. Subject line, nice to meet you. Okay, so that's all I need for my email. I've got my title, I've got a description, I've got my subject, I've got the body of the email here. I'm just going to save that. Okay, so task number 1 is done. This is my email. That's kind of a preview of what it's going to look like. So that's the first part. So the second thing I'm going to need, if I look at my, I need an email template, I need a target list, and then I need to create the workflow. So let's just go back here. So the first thing I need is to go to my target lists, which is under marketing generally. And I'm going to create a target list. And the reason for this is so I can just keep track of all the people who I met at the trade show in one place, and I can send them emails later, or I can schedule follow-up calls or anything like that. So I'm going to say trade show, ABC, follow up. Okay. And I'm going to just leave it a default, and it's going to be assigned to me, the administrator, and I'm going to save it. So there's my target list. So there's where I can put the leads. Okay. If you're unfamiliar with how target list works, basically it's just a list of either targets, contacts, or leads, and then it just makes it easy to select everybody on a target list and maybe send them out an email or something like that. So this is starting to come together. So the third thing we're going to need to do to make this whole system work is set up a workflow. Okay, so you will find your workflows under all, and I'm going to go to workflow, and let's set this up. So I'm going to create a workflow. Okay, let's call it trade show ABC follow up. Okay, so there's a few things here in the workflow that you want to be aware of. So the workflow module that we want is going to be leads, because that's what's going to sort of initiate an action, is when a lead gets added. So we want the lead workflow module. Again, if you were doing opportunities, you would select the opportunity module. So there's a couple options here, whether it's active or inactive. If you're not super familiar with workflows, you might want to leave them inactive till you get it all set up, and then change it to active later, just so you don't do something that like affects every record in the database sort of thing. But this one's going to be fairly straightforward. I'm going to leave it active. So we have some choices here. If we run this always on all records, it's going to run it on every lead in the database that meet the criteria, obviously. And if we put on repeated runs, it's going to run it again and again and again and again, like every minute. I did this once, and my database ended up growing to like 15 gigabytes because it keeps a record for every record that it changes, and it'll just grow exponentially. So be careful. So I'm going to run this in the scheduler. So what that does is, I have workflows scheduled to run, nightly sort of thing, and it processes all these things. The other way you can do it is only on save. So, and in this case, that would work as well. When we add a lead, it would, send it out to the client. But I'm going to just run it in the scheduler. But it's your choice. So you can put a description, just so when you look back on this later, you remember what this workflow is for: to send an email follow-up after the trade show, and to schedule a follow-up call. Okay, excuse me. So the condition that we want here is, first of all, I'm going to say leads. So when leads are assigned to me, first of all, because I don't want to do this. Maybe you have other sales reps and you don't want to do this for everybody's, or maybe you do, but in this case I'm setting up my own personal workflow. So I'm going to say when it's assigned to, and I'll just pick my name, the administrator here. There it is. Okay, that's easy. There we go. Okay, so when it's assigned to the administrator and it's a lead, the next thing is I don't want this to send to every single lead I add forever. Maybe I'm only going to be at the trade show, let's say on February 9th. Okay, so I'm going to say the date is created, and then I'm going to say, I have some options here, but I'm going to say is between. Oh, they don't have between for this one. Okay, so let's say is greater than a date, and sorry, I will make it a value here, and then I will select a date. So let's say February, what did I say, 9th? So it's over the weekend. So anything that is greater than February 9th and date created is less than February 5th. Okay, so keep in mind these are ands. So it has to meet all of these criteria in order to pass. So is it true that it was created by the administrator? Yes. Is it true that it's greater than February 9th? Yes. Is it true that it's less than February oh, I think I selected the wrong date there. February 9th to 12th. If it's less than the 12th, yes, it meets that criteria. Okay. The other thing I might want to do is, just to make sure I target the right one, is I'm going to say if the lead and the lead source where are we here? There we go. If the lead source is equal to, and then you can pick the value, so I'm going to say trade show. Now, if you wanted to be very specific, you could create a value in the pick box for lead source, maybe ABC trade show. But in this case, I think I'm going to hit it pretty good. So it has to be a lead that was assigned to or created by. Let's make it that. Created by the administrator. And it was created after February 9th, and it was created before February 12th, and the lead source is trade show. Okay, so this is going to get it. So what's going to happen now is when we enter a lead at this trade show, it's automatically going to enter it in to this workflow that we're going to do. Okay, so now that we've got the conditions set, now we want the action. So the first action we want to do is we want to send an email. So I'm just going to label this action so when I look at it later and I remember what it's for. Send email to trade show lead. Okay, so the email template I just set up, so I'm going to select the trade show follow-up email, and the email address I want it to send it to is the record email. Okay, so that's the email for the lead. Okay, and then maybe just so I know it went, sometimes I do this just to make sure it works okay, I'm gonna CC myself, and so the administrator. Okay, so that's action number 1. The second action we want to do is schedule a follow-up call. So I'm going to create a record. In this case, I want to create a scheduled call. So I'm going to schedule a call. And again, this is just a note so I know what the action does when I look at it later on. So I am going to create a call log here, a call. And then what I need to do is just set up all the fields that are going to go in that call log. So I'm going to want the subject to appear as trade show follow-up. I'm going to want the let's say the start date. Start date. So let's say I'm going to want it to be 5 days after I create the lead. Okay, so in this case I want to select a date, and I want it to be the date created, and I want it to be plus 5 days. Okay, so this will create the start date for this call 5 days from when it's created. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to want to add here is probably who it's related, or what it's related to. So I'm going to select a field here. So it's going to be related to the ID, which is going to, in this case, going to be the lead, because we selected the lead module. Let's see what else might be worthy here. The duration. Let's say I'll add the duration to make this a value for 15 minutes. There's a bit of a glitch here that it doesn't show up when you select minutes, but it works fine. Let's make it hours in this case, just so it works properly. So value, I'm going to say 1 hour. Okay. What else might I want to add to this call when I set it up? If you do all this in advance, you don't have to edit it later. You're going to want to assign it to yourself. Okay. Let's see here. Recurring status. Assign to. And I'm going to want to pick myself. Okay. So there we go. We're all done. So it's going to create a call log, or a scheduled call. The subject's going to be trade show follow-up. It's going to be 5 days from the date that I enter the lead. It's going to be related to the related ID, which is the lead. And then it's going to be 1 hour long, and it's going to be assigned to me. Okay. So let's just go through this one more time from the top. Okay, so we need a name. We need to assign it to somebody. Choose the workflow module, leads. We need to put myself back on the screen here. We need to put the conditions. So our conditions here are leads created by me, leads created on a date greater than when the trade show starts, and leads created on a date that are less than when the trade show ends, and leads that are lead source equal to trade show. If it meets those criteria, it's going to send an email to the record email, and it's going to send the trade show follow-up email, and it is going to also send myself one so I know it went out. It's also going to create a record. It's going to create a call report or call log. Subject trade show follow-up. Start date is going to be the date it's created plus 5 days, related to the lead ID, and the duration is going to be 1 hour, and it's going to be assigned to me. Oh, the other thing we want to do is add it to a target list. Okay, so add an action, and we want to create a record. Okay, so we want to, third step here is add it to a target list. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a record. We want to create a target. Then we want to add a relationship to targets. And then we want to add a field. Sorry, target list, prospect lists. Then we want to select the list. And here's my ABC trade show follow-up. So what's going to happen here, it will create a target record and it will add the target to the ABC trade show follow-up. So the final step of this is just to save it. So there we go. So we can see our final saved trade show list. So it will show you the conditions, and then it will show you all the actions. So send email, schedule call, add to target list, and that's it. Everything is done. This will happen only in the scheduler, so you need to make sure you have your cron job set up to trigger the workflows, and it will run on all records that meet this criteria. So that's a very simple workflow, but now what you've done is you saved yourself a whole bunch of time. You don't have to do all this stuff manually when you meet someone at a trade show. All you need to do is basically just enter them as a lead and then select the lead source as the trade show when you're at the trade show, and that's it. You know, you get your stack of business cards that you meet people, and then when you go back to your room after dinner, just enter them into your CRM, and that night they will get an email, and it'll schedule a follow-up call for you for the following week. Makes your whole life easier. So that's just a simple tip. It's something sales reps run into every day, and it makes your life easy. Anyway, if you liked the video, please do me a favor and give it a thumbs up down below. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, and I will keep making more. I've got lots of great tips for SuiteCRM. And if you happen to need some help with installation or some training, or you need help modifying your sales process to work with SuiteCRM, or even migration from another platform, I can definitely help you with that. That's my day job. That's what I do. My contact information is down below. And again, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Bye-bye.